Manchester City fans around the world, a very good afternoon and welcome to Matchday Live. Welcome to the Etihad Stadium for our first Premier League home game of the season. My goodness, it is so great to be back. And here we can see our boys in blue, the 4 times in a row Premier League champions, arriving here at the Etihad Stadium for their 3 o'clock fixture clash against newly promoted Ipswich. It's all go here at the Etihad Stadium. If you're wondering who is dousing our boys in viewing flowers, that there is Carlinhos Brown, one of the most iconic and famous singers coming out of Brazil, specifically Bahia, because we are celebrating Bahia Day, of course, one of the CFG's sister clubs. We have a Man City team over there, so we're having a lovely little link up today. So much has been going on in and around the Etihad Stadium, and we'll be bringing you more of that later on in the show. But let's get back to those boys. Jeremy Doku, Erling Haaland, Ederson. Will they be in the starting 11? Well, I can sneakily reveal the big man there on screen. He does start. He will be making his 101st game for City. And my goodness, how great was this news, City fans? The King returns, Ilkay Gundogan back in a Manchester City shirt, back in the Manchester City squad as well. Does he start? Well, I'll reveal that in just a moment. So here we are, our starting 11. Ederson in goal, keeping his position after that brilliant performance against Chelsea. Rico Lewis at right back, Manuel Akanji, partners alongside Ruben Diaz, and completing our back 4, Mr. Josko Gvardiol. Moving into the midfield, a man of the match performance from Kovacic against Chelsea. He's in the holding role alongside the King, Kevin De Bruyne, and our midfield maestro, Bernardo Silva. Moving to our forward 3 players, Jeremy Doku will be lighting up one side of the pitch. Over on the other side, Savinho making his Etihad debut. And the big man, 101 appearances in a City shirt, started the season with a goal, and we'll be hoping for more of that today. My name is Cel Spellman. It is such a treat to be with you for this opening Premier League game of the season here at the Etihad Stadium, fresh on the back of that 2-0 win against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Joining me to my left, 2 Manchester City legends in the form of Shaun and Steve Howey. Shaun, great to be back for the season, isn't it, sir?
Yes, certainly is. Just coming in, and the vibe, the atmosphere is really good. It's a dry day, sun's out. Now and again, it goes behind the clouds, but really looking forward to today, certainly.
After that game against Chelsea as well, we couldn't have asked really for a better start to the season, and especially given it was a difficult place to go, Steve.
I think it's going to be a difficult place for any team to go there. But I think first game of the season, there's always there can be upsets. And I think a lot of people would have been looking at that and thinking, is that a banana skin for City first game of the season? But how they went about the business that day was absolutely brilliant. To come away with 2-0, I think there'd be a lot of the teams that's going to be challenging for the Premiership will go there and not get anything.
Yes, yeah.
I do think they'll find a way, Chelsea, to be fair. But yeah, what a performance. And of course, coming here today against Ipswich, obviously everybody's going to fancy City, but really looking forward to the game.
Yeah, really excited. Let's dig into that City team then. More or less unchanged from that game against Chelsea. Let me just quickly run you through the subs as well. Ortega, Walker, Stones, Ake, Jack Grealish, Nunes, Issa Kabore, McAtee, and I'm saving the best till last, Ilkay Gundogan on the bench. We'll get into more about him. Brand new signing this week for City. But what was your first impression, Shaun, apart from seeing that starting 11?
Well, I'm always excited when I see City team because it's trying to figure out who's going to play where. That's one of the big guesses. But also just knowing the standards. And I'm looking forward. I always pretty much look at the forward players, and Savinho, we're seeing a little glimpse of him, and I'm really excited to see what he can do. Just talking off air, he was talking about how he was playing against Cucurella. The first sort of 15, 20 minutes, Jeremy Doku and them switch. And then we started to see what he was about. He's getting a little bit more the ball, doing a couple of step overs, and it was just like, see you later. So really excited to see him and play in there. Rico's another one. He's a really exciting player, and we heard Pep talk about him in such glowing terms, and saying about how he thought back how he should be starting him more. So that tells me that Rico will be starting a lot more because he is basically saying he needs to trust him, and he does trust him.
Yeah.
So yeah, really excited to see those two in particular today.
I mean, on Rico, I mean, Kyle Walker is on the bench, club captain, but obviously it was arguably Barkovic, I felt was a man of the match performance against Chelsea, has kept his place. The sky feels like it could be the limit for Rico. How much do you rate him, Steve, particularly as a defender as well? Because Pep's also highlighted one-on-one how strong he is.
Well, one-on-one, he's excellent because he reads the player as well. But I think, obviously, he's got fantastic pace. I think everybody was talking about, is it Neto that came on?
Yes,
and everybody raves about his pace. And there was a one-on-one with the two of them, and he beat them to the ball. So I think people don't seem to realise how quick the lad is.
Yeah.
So defensively, he's got everything. But what he's very, very good at is his distribution. I think, you can be a good defender. We've seen people in the past playing for other teams that are very good defenders, but distribution-wise, they're not the best. He's got the full package.
He really does as well. And Pep spoke about actually that one thing that Rico brings, and I think he touched upon it last season, is he enables City to play quicker. Is that just because of his brain, Shaun? And actually, as you say, because he's got the intelligence and the pass, but it's his speed of play as well.
It's a speed of play, his understanding, to make the right decisions in the right part of the field. There we're seeing him a little bit higher, but he's just an intelligent player. And again, he's sort of beyond his years of his knowledge of the game. He plays, 1 and 2 touch. He doesn't dwell on it. He's able to wriggle his way out of really tight positions. There you see him in little interception, little pass inside, and away City goes. He's also he's a robust little player. He gets knocked. He gets like the odd physical challenges against him, and he just gets up and gets on with it. So great future ahead for him. But really pleased to see him again retain hurling the spot and see what he does today.
What about this, Shaun? Sit a bit.
Yeah, see, I mean, he's basically saying you can't rush up on me real quick because if I can't go right or go left, well, I'll go center. So keep them shut.
And so comfortable in the middle of the field as well. Obviously, we mentioned Kovacic there before, man of the match against Chelsea, and obviously we know big boots to fill with Rodri, but seamlessly did that, Steve, didn't he? And I think he'll do the same today.
Yeah, I mean, it's no surprise he's still in the team. What he does for the team, how he kind of makes sure he shows everything up. He's always in good positions. You can see he's just in front of the player to receive the ball, drives through, gives the goalkeeper the eyes, whips across it. It's a great finish. Obviously showing a little bit of respect there to the Chelsea fans because he did have a good time there. But just drives forward. And you can see him look, and the goalkeeper, he uses the player just in front of him as well as that little bit of a kind of a block. And you can see probably there's a better angle here how he cuts across it. Goalkeeper's got no chance.
So, in regards to facing the Ipswich team today, we're going to be bringing you that team news very soon. We've got Alistair Mann on commentary alongside Nicky Weaver, so we'll head pitch side there in a little bit. We're very used to kind of seeing teams coming and doing that 2 banks of 5, assuming that Ipswich might do the same. How will City go about breaking that down, and will having 2 players like Doku and Savinho change maybe how we've seen City try to do it in previous seasons, Shaun? Well,
yeah, I mean, they will potentially have this low block, but again, because of their burst of speed off the mark, Savinho and Jeremy Doku, because of their first 5 yards, when they sort of drop their shoulder to perhaps go left, but fake to go left and go right, or vice versa, to stick with them, it takes incredible pace. So this is where they have the beating of players. I think you'll see players overlap or underlaps in terms of fullbacks being inside. So when they're out wide, you could see Rico Lewis being inside. So whilst they're all perhaps doubling up on the winger, rolling the ball inside to Rico, then he's able to thread a through ball for Haaland or cross. So it's many ways to sort of, when a team have a low block and have a back 5, there's many ways to sort of break that down. So they got their work cut out because, again, the 2 wingers, Savinho and Jeremy Doku, I wouldn't want to be facing them. No, I'm sure, I don't know if Stephen would have faced them as a defender.
No, I mean, at any time. I think for Ipswich today, whether they're going to go with a 3/5 or whether they're going to go with a 4 at the back, we've seen really good teams come here and get dismantled.
Yeah.
And I think for me, this would be a huge eye opener for these Ipswich players. They've worked their socks off to get 2 successive promotions. I think for them to come here, I'm assuming and I'm imagining that some of the players after 10 minutes they'll be looking at the scoreboard thinking, wow, is there only 10 minutes gone? I've got another 80 minutes plus to deal with this, because it's just constant. You know, and obviously we all know that City keep the ball so well. It's about that concentration. Can they keep that concentration? I would have thought probably not. The manager will be probably saying to his players, can we keep it tight for as long as we possibly can? Because as soon as it's kind of their backline's being breached and City get the goal, it could literally be anything.
Yes.
But, you know, obviously he's got faith in his team. They're the ones that's got them in this position.
Yep.
But as I said, I think it's going to be eye-opening for them, 100%.
Steve makes a huge point, because I think a team like them coming, I think they'll be looking at it in blocks of 15 minutes. And I think one of the words that'll be said to that team in that dressing room is, listen, the first 15 minutes, keep a clean sheet, stay solid, stay compact, try not to be penetrated. But City being City will be peltering in terms of overlapping runs and shots and through balls. So I think, and as Steve says, they'll look up at that, you know, at the time and think, 15 minutes going. And it's so important for them to not concede in that opening.
Yes.
15 minutes, because they all know that it's a long way. And City, we're thinking, let's just, you know, put them to sword real early. Let's get a second, let's get a third. So I think that opening 15 minutes is really going to be a tough period for them.
He scored in the opening fixture against Chelsea. It was the first goal. Also, I think very much silenced Cucurella, Erling Haaland. He's of course going to be licking his lips, Steve. It was interesting though, hearing Pep speak about that. He's the best form he's been at the start of the season. Usually, you know, we've had to wait maybe a month or two, but because he had the full pre-season, he's come in firing. But talked about him wanting to maybe see him link up a little bit more. Would you like to see that kind of a bit more within his game? As much as we know he puts the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, I mean, I'd seen the interview after the game, and I'm sort of saying to him, when he was being asked the question, you know, does he need to get it more involved? Because what he's doing at the moment is more than enough, because he's scoring the goals.
Yes.
Does it, if he's linking up, is he dropping too deep and therefore can't get in the box? You know, obviously, as a manager, as a supporter, you want him to be involved as much as possible. But ultimately, as a forward, you want him to score goals.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, Goats used to drop deep, but in all fairness, because I know he scores goals, you want him, you know, get up there.
Yes.
But I mean, I just found it funny, really, with the Cucurella thing, because you're just thinking, you know, you're a grown man. You know, you've got no excuse to be saying things like that. You know that it's going to bite you in the backside. You know, keep your mouth shut and just sort of get on with it. So, of course, I mean, with his goal as well, you can see Cucurella comes across and he just palms him off like getaway. Just, you know, such strength.
Yeah.
But not only that strength, he's got the ability with his feet as well, just to move that ball away. Goalkeeper comes, and again, Erling had mentioned something about, I think that the season before, the goalkeeper had made a save in particular against him, and he thought, well, I know he does this, so I'll try this.
Yes.
And that worked. So it just goes to show how much he does work off the pitch about his game and how did I finish this time? Did the goalkeeper save it? What's his weakness? What's his strengths? And obviously, he just dinked the goalkeeper. But, you know, a fantastic way to start the season.
Fantastic. And Shaun, when I don't know if you were asked to do that, you know, obviously we know you were deadly in and around that penalty area, but does it help your game a little bit though to try and add that string to your bow, or does it hinder you from like getting the goals when you need them, when you were asked?
Well,
if you've been asked.
I always knew it was important to be in the box, and when I went deep was because it was trying to get into the game, and that was because perhaps, you know, we were under the cosh a bit, so I was trying to go deep, get involved in terms of helping the team defensively. But if I could stay up top and not get involved because the team are handling it, like City do today, I don't feel it's a need. I think we're looking for everybody to be perfect in everything, and I think he's perfect as a goal scorer. We don't need him to be perfect as a hold-up player. We need him to be perfect scoring goals. So sometimes he'll hold it up perfectly. Sometimes balls will come off him and we think, oh, he could have done slightly better. But there's no one better that's scoring a goal than him. You know, every type of goal he's able to score. So I'm not looking for him to be the all-round, come short, be like a Messi coming short. No, you be Haaland up top and score those goals. And because of the team we've got and how we play tactically, there's not a need. And he said it himself, as Steve said in his interview, like, with that midfield, they got it. Why am I getting deep? Why am I getting deep? I'm gonna stay up here and wait for those opportunities. So I think he goes deep when it's a need to help out the team defensively.
Fantastic. I've just heard as well, might have been wondering as I was, not seeing Phil Foden's name in the squad today. He is ill, Pep's just said in his pre-match interview there, so we wish Phil all the best and a speedy recovery. One man who isn't ill and one man who has come straight into the squad after re-signing this week. I mean, it was music to Manchester City fans all around the world. The reaction online has been amazing. What a treat it is to welcome back Ilkay Gundogan.
It's difficult to describe the feeling, to be honest. When you leave this place, you realize what you had, you realize how amazing that time was, you realize how big the club is, the best club in the world. I don't want it to sound too nostalgic. It's still, about competing. It's still about having that drive. It's still about trying to be the best version of yourself, and that's an ambition that I still have.
Ilkay Gundogan, you are the captain of the Champions League winners!
Of course, lifting the trophy is always an achievement, and you feel like, wow, you achieved here really something special. But the way to get there, is much more special for me, and I want that feeling back. I want to have this feeling back, this togetherness, inside the team.
Let's go outside, enjoy together, and let's be excited. Come on!
She's De Bruyne into the penalty area. The brink of despair. Elation.
It feels just so nice to be home.
The legend does indeed return. Ilkay Gundogan back in a Manchester City shirt, of course, after captaining this team to that historic treble winning season. And of course, in the 8 years before that, we really just got to see why Pep made sure that it was his first signing even when he was injured, because what a gift of a footballer and what a gift of a mind as well Stevie has.
Well, just look at the clips there. He's so vocal in the dressing room. I think one of the telling things that he'd actually sort of said after he's just rejoined there is sometimes you don't realise what you've got until it's gone.
Yes.
And I mean, bear in mind, he's gone to Barcelona. And then he must be looking around thinking it's probably not as good as City because of this, this and this. I mean, what a player. I've seen the interview with Pep as well, and he's probably not the biggest fan of re-signing players. And also when City do sign players, sometimes it takes them a little bit to adjust. It's not going to take him any time at all. He was only here last year, and he was one of the main players. And you see some of the goals that he scores spectacular ones, scores the ones at the back post, which is so, meaningful in games. But I mean, what a player, what a character, and I think it's for me, a masterstroke bringing him back.
Yeah, it's an amazing bit of business as well. I think we've got him on a free as well, so it's not cost us a penny. What do you think he's going to be able to bring? I know it might be an obvious question, Shaun, but to this team?
I'm really excited because when I thought about this season, and I thought this now puts a little bit more expectation on our wide players in terms of producing goals, because Gundo was a player that was, he was getting you 12, 15. 18 goals, like scoring loads of goals. And if you look back at last season, our wingers were hovering around 5 to 7 goals. And it made me think, our wingers, if we're going to go on to do it a fifth time, we're going to need our wingers to chip in a little bit more. And this is where I thought, well, Gundo coming back. And I go, well, we got those goals again. This is what he brings. He brings this ability. And it's like, as much as I don't know how teams don't know how they can spot it, but his ability to time a run, to go into the box, and they don't recognize it, is sheer intelligence, recognizing the space and the timing of it. For me, he's the best at it. He really is. Yeah. And this is what he really brings. Well, along with the quality to be able to play 6 and play a defensive midfield role, he could play 8, as in getting up, going into the box. He's so versatile in the type of play he is, and there again on the blind side, such big important goals he's chipped in, and you hear his interview. What I love when I hear him speak is he's a winner. He's not come here to be like, wow, I had a great time in City.
Yeah, and be nostalgic, as he said.
Yeah, he's like, no. It's work to be done, and it's like there's things to be won. Yes. And I'm sitting there thinking, beautiful.
It is class. I loved as well just the end there saying, I think his final sentence was, it's good to be home, and he does know really now this is his home. I think he's even moved back into his old flat. We're watching these were the Villa goals. I think we can also then see this this second one here as well. And as you, again, Shaun, just as you, the timing of the run. The only other person I think that was probably as good at it was Frank Lampard. That was another one that they always said was good at that, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Frank Lampard was that sort of player that, was encouraged to go and run in the box. But his ability to keep the ball, be involved in the build-up, and just as the ball goes down the opposite side, he's sort of, I always use the term ghosting in there. It's as though they didn't see him. It's just like, and I wouldn't be surprised as I'm talking there that he just pops up in between us, because he used to ghost into these areas. And you're just like, how they don't know this? How they don't see him? But it's his intelligence to recognize. And I know as a forward, there's a time as a defender when the defender has to look at the ball, and that is that moment when you can make that run. And that's when, by the time they then look back to have a second look to see where is he, he's gone. And with the quality that we have, with the delivery, it's like good night.
Yeah, I love that De Bruyne assist there as well for that second goal. The other thing I did just want to point out, because obviously he is 33, and this is more just, playing devil's advocate from the other side. A few things I saw online was about him. 33, is he kind of lost that kind of maybe that bit of speed or energy? When you look at the stats in La Liga, I think he covered the most miles in the entire Barcelona team. I think he was one of the most effective and impactful players across La Liga. He created the most chances last season. And then you saw his Euros as well. You can see that actually he's sustained that level, and that's also, I think Pep pointed out, his standards haven't dropped. They're exactly where we still need them to be.
I think not only as an individual, he's obviously a very fit, still a young man, let's be honest. Yeah. But the sports science you've got now, which is completely different, it was just kind of coming in a lot more when we were kind of at that age. He knows how to look after his body and how to get the maximum out of his body. Obviously, you can't even question in any way, shape or form his ability or his quality. He'll still feel as though he can do everything that he did last year, but he did last year anyway in Barcelona, in La Liga. And he was obviously doing it for City for years here. So I don't think there's any kind of, he's 33, but he's only 33. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
For me, a lot of his speed is speed of thought.
Yeah.
Because I reckon if you took him and he had to sprint against the opposition, it'd probably be middle of the pack. So it's not really outstanding in terms of, but I think it's up here where he sees it that fraction of a second earlier.
Yes.
And that's where it's like, well, how's he got there? How's no one seen him? How is it? It's the intelligence of understanding that particular situation of now's the time to go, now's the time to arrive. So he doesn't need the speed, and as Steve said, with technology of how they look after sports science and how they look after themselves, he's got plenty of years ahead. He's got plenty of years.
He really does. I just wanted to quickly ask as well, because it was interesting that they talk about him choosing his number. So he's opted to go for number 19. He said he didn't want to pick 21 or 22 because he didn't win a trophy wearing either of those numbers at Barcelona or with Germany. I just wondered, do you guys have any superstitions around shirt numbers at all?
When I was at Newcastle, I was number 6.
Yeah.
And when I signed for City, I asked about the 6 number. And Joe Royle obviously was the manager, and he said Kevin Horlock has got it. Now, I wasn't going to come in and say, well, I want that number.
Yeah.
So I went, okay, not a problem. So 24 was available.
Yeah.
So 2 and 4 was 6.
Nice.
So that's why I went with that.
Ah, okay. Nice, Shaun.
Yeah, for me, back then, 9, in England, 9 was the number that people was like, you're number 9, you're the number 9. But I actually always wanted 10, because for me, globally, 10 was like the player. It was like, you're 10, you're 10.
It's not that he thought much of himself, though, really, is it?
But,
number 10.
But,
all right, then, Messi.
Yeah. But that's how I thought. I was like, well, number 10, I prefer number 10. Because whenever I looked at football globally, it was like the 10s were the ones that made the difference. Now, I'm not saying I was those type of players, but people remember the 10, but nowadays players have made their own number, they made that number special. Like KDB's made 17 special because the quality player he is.
Yes.
But yeah, that for me it was 10.
What is the 10 no way?
Yeah.
How funny.
It was you number 10, they thought, oh, you're a player then, eh? Okay.
Listen, but say no, you were a player in number 9, Shaun, you know what I mean? Right, let's pause here. On your commentary team today, Alistair Mann is joined by Nicky Weaver, and we can head to them pitch side now. They'll also bring you the Ipswich team.
Yeah, thanks, Kel. I know you've been talking about the City lineup. Myself and Nicky Weaver on commentary duty today. We've just been absorbing it as well. Nicky, the first thing that strikes you, of course, is that unusually Pep's kept the same 11.
Yeah, I mean, it's not such a big surprise because they've had, a full week's rest. Normally they've got a midweek game, so he has to shuffle the pack a little bit. But yeah, obviously it served him well last week against Chelsea with a great opening 2-0 win. Hopefully more of the same today.
The outstanding performers, and let's face it, it was a great team performance. People talked about Mateo Kovacic and Rico Lewis. What were your thoughts on their performances?
I'm a huge fan of Kovacic. I think he's a player that other players really appreciate. If you look at his career, he's played at all the top clubs, he's won all the major trophies, and he really was a fantastic signing for us last year. And Rico Lewis, for one so young to be so intelligent and is a real Pep-like player. He can play in a couple of positions, so he's a little bit of a hybrid player as well. So those two are the standout performers, but it was a good team performance as well.
And then when we go to the bench and we see the name Ilkay Gundogan, were you as shocked as anybody when you saw that he was coming back?
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that obviously it left last year to go to Barcelona, which that's obviously what he wanted at that time. It's not worked out for him as what he'd would have liked, and he's obviously had the opportunity to the club sensed that and they've acted on it very quickly. I'm sure there was little bits in the pipeline before we got wind of it, but yeah, once the last few days it's picked up pace, and obviously everyone's delighted to it. He's an iconic player at this club, and everyone was sad to see him go, but equally they're so happy to see him back as well.
And of course they're signing a player who just retired from international football, so it's a bonus that that's the case as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's another year further on in his journey, so the years are pushing on a little bit, but yeah, by retiring from international football, he's had a great international career. It'll just allow him a little bit more time for a bit of rest and recuperation, and that can only be a benefit to City.
Of course, one player who's not involved today, Phil Foden, is ill, but I've got the Ipswich lineup as well. We'll have a quick look at that for you right now. In goal, they've got another ex-City player in Aro Muric, who I know you know, we'll talk about him in a moment. Leif Davis, Sam Morsey, who's their captain, Luke Wolfenden, Ben Johnson, Liam Delap, another ex-City player, of course, Amari Hutchinson. New signing for them, Sammy Schmodics gets his first Premier League start today. Jacob Greaves, Massimo Luongo and Axel Tuanzebe, who was of course also a United player a few years ago. On the bench, again, there are one or two names familiar to Championship viewers, but not many players there on the bench who you would think have had Premier League experience. And one of their new signings, Yen Kayuste, is on the bench for them. They've just signed him from Serie A. A few standout names, I know you know one or two of them, but Aro Muric in particular, straight into the starting lineup after a bit of a niggle.
Yeah, I mean, Christian Walton played last week. I think he did okay, to be fair, but obviously they signed Aro Muric for a lot of money from Burnley, and he's going to be their number one. I first got alerted to him probably 5 or 6 years ago by a goalkeeper coach at City when I was working at Sheffield Wednesday. He was saying what a bright future he'd got. He went to Nottingham Forest, I think, on loan. It didn't quite work out for him, but ultimately, Vincent Kompany took him to Burnley because he knew him from his City connections, and yeah, it's a great opportunity for him to really make a mark on his career.
And from what you've seen of Liam Delap, should City fans be a little fearful of him coming back here today?
Yeah, listen, he was a player that broke in a few years ago, scored on his debut, I think when he was 17. I think he's had injuries and a few loans, so it's not really worked out for him at City. But listen, they got a good transfer fee for him, so I think it's good business for the club. It's what the club do, and it is a real opportunity for him to stamp his mark on the Premier League. But yeah, he'll be desperate, to score against his old club.
Now, Sammy Schmodics was probably one of the players of the season in the Championship last season. The Blackburn team who were struggling. What are his qualities?
Well, he sort of plays, he can drift in off the wide, he can play that number 10. He's not an out-and-out striker, but he can play up there as well. He's running behind, and he's just got that knack of, he's a really good finisher. He makes late runs. I think it was 28, 29 Championship goals last year. He's an experienced player. I think he's 27, 28, 29, that sort of age. So yeah, they paid a lot of money for him at that age, but it'll be interesting to see, he's done it at the Championship, can he step up to the Premiership?
And you're also quite familiar with Massimo Luongo as well, another player who, again, the City fans might not know anything about.
Yeah, Australian international. Massimo, I worked closely with him at Sheffield Wednesday for a few years. Really good pro, sort of like an old wily fox. He knows his way around the pitch, he knows the, dare I say it, the dark arts. But yeah, again, it's the first time he's played in the Premiership, as it is with a lot of these players. And don't forget, some of these players just over a year ago played in League One. So it reminds me of my time at City when we got back-to-back promotions, and it's a huge, huge step up. They did really well last week against Liverpool, particularly in the first half. They couldn't quite keep it going, but I don't think they're going to be judged on how they do against Liverpool and City.
you've almost stolen my thunder of my final question, which was, as a player who went 2 divisions, promotion, up to the Premier League, was the gap much bigger between League One and Championship than it is to the Championship and the Premier League, or is it the other way around?
I think it's Championship to Premier League.
Right.
I think it's the finances. It's, the finances from League One to the Champions. There's a big disparity in the Championship. The top clubs compared to the bottom clubs, where the Premier League, they've all got, a lot of firepower, a lot of money. And they can throw the weight around in the transfer market. So it's going to be a really tough test for Ipswich. It was too tough for us, and we went down at the first attempt. But Kieran McKenna's done a fantastic job. He's one of the most highly rated young managers, up and coming managers, linked with some big jobs. So it's going to be a huge test for them. But they've got to really concentrate on the teams that in and around where they're going to be in the league. But yeah, they'll enjoy the journey, but they also want to put points on the league as well.
Well, we'll have plenty more from Nicky in a few minutes' time, where we're going to be reflecting on past games against Ipswich Town. And remember, this is the first time that Ipswich will have ever played here at the Etihad. Back to you, Kel.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Weaves, as well. And yeah, don't go anywhere as well, because we are going to look at what happened the last time Manchester City and Ipswich met. But before that, let's focus back in on today's opponents. Steve, I actually felt for the first 60 minutes against Liverpool, they gave a great account of themselves. You alluded to at the start of the show that obviously the concentration that you need, and also I guess the stamina when you're coming up against teams of quality, is maybe just where they kind of lost it, I guess, against Liverpool. But how do you think they're going to fare taking out the first 2 games against Liverpool and City?
It's how quickly they'll learn, because the Premier League is very, very unforgiving. You know, and you make mistakes in the Championship, you might get away with it. In the Premier League, you very rarely get away with it. And I think the first game against Liverpool, look, towards the end, Liverpool could have been 3 or 4. And I think that they should have made it 3 or 4. A lot of people sort of say it's best to play the big teams first. So of course they've got Liverpool and they've got City, but in the Premier League there's no let up.
Nah.
You as fans, you're looking at the fixtures and you're saying, yes, we've got Liverpool, yes, we've got Manchester City, yes, we've got this one, yes. But then when the season starts to get really tough, you're looking at the fixtures going, oh, we've got Man City again, oh, we've got Liverpool again, oh, we've got Arsenal, oh, we've got Chelsea, oh, we've got Tottenham, we've got Manchester United, we've got this one, that one. Travelling up maybe to Newcastle on a Wednesday night, and if it's raining and cold and you're getting beat, it can be quite miserable and sort of breaks you down, really. That's why the players have got to be so together.
Yes.
And obviously there's been a lot said about the manager, Kieran McKenna. He's going to have to earn his money this year as well, because, to keep the lads up. Because obviously you cannot really see them getting anything today. And I think it might be Fulham that they've got next.
Yes.
The need to get a couple of points on the board in the first 6 games, which is going to be tough. But at the same time, listen, they deserve to be here.
Yep.
I think they can enjoy today. There'll be the players will come out and look around the pitch and they'll be like, wow, what a stadium. The noise is going to be absolutely electric. But at the same time, once the whistle blows, forget about all the I'm so looking forward to the Premier League, because as I said, it is so brutal at times, and it's very harsh.
Yes.
And it will be a case, like we mentioned before, they'll look up at the clock and think, wow, we've still got 85 minutes to go, and they could be already 2-0 down by then. It's a tough skill.
It really is. They might not have even touched the ball as well. Looking at Delap, of course, is leading the line for them. That's his name. He scored on his senior debut for City, actually, back in 2020, when he was 17. I think here we can watch it now, but I'm delighted for Delap. I've really closely followed him through the academy. I think it's great that he's got this opportunity. How do you think he's going to fare? Today is a tough ask, but generally as well. And what do you make of him as a striker? Because he's built for the Premier League, I think.
Yes, he is. And, a lot of the knowledge that he's learned at City, he'll look to try to use against City. But he's a player that I haven't seen him train a little bit. He's a player that wants to strike everything very hard. And I think what the coaches will try to get him sometimes is not how hard you kick a ball. Sometimes it's just about placement. But that being said, I think he'll be fired up today, because he'll be like playing against City. But at the same time, he'll be dreading it, because he knows how well City keep the ball. He knows that City want to draw the striker to go chase and perhaps go and pressure Addison, to then pick him off and then pick the next player off and work their way, all the way up to the top of the field. So whilst he'll be excited, he'd also be thinking, I could be chasing shadows. But I think from their point of view, it's about giving a good account of themselves. The last thing they'll probably want is to walk away 5 or 6-0 defeat, because then it becomes even a more challenge to go in the next game.
Yes.
Is Fulham. I think if they can go away as a free hit and go, okay, we played this game, we've lost 2-1, 2-0, 3-1, that's respectable. But I think what they can do is go get beaten 5 or 6, because then the Fulham game even looks even difficult then too, because they've got to pick themselves up.
Really does. Ali, and we did mention him, but the new signing Smodic as well, hell of a player in the Championship, and probably another man that we need to keep an eye out for today, Steve.
Yeah, he scores goals. I mean, as Gus sort of said, a goalkeeper, it's just there's the natural instinct, and he's certainly got that. What was it, 27 goals or something last season?
It was indeed, yeah.
So if he gets a chance, he knows where the back of the net is. So of course you've got to look. You've got to look after these people and be aware of them. I mean, we're talking about this. Could it be relatively comfortable for City? They could start out the blocks and get an early goal.
Yeah.
In football, you just never know. But he's certainly a player that you would watch. I thought the fee that paid Blackburn was relatively low, given the fact of how many goals that he scored. But he's here today. He'll be wanting, likes of him and like the Delap that we've just mentioned. It's a perfect platform to show everybody how good they actually are.
And I guess as well for Kieran as well, who has been spoke of so highly, and I was delighted actually. My best mate from school is an Ipswich fan, and I was delighted for him that he has stayed, because he has really made a mark with this team. It's still quite a young team as well.
Yeah.
Can you see, he seems to be the manager where he doesn't really want to change his philosophy too much. He's pepping that way, going, no, we're going to play this way, whoever the opponent is. You have to cater that slightly against City, but you can still see them probably trying to come at us a little bit today if they get the opportunity, Shaun.
Well, yes, listen, it's all right sticking to your way of playing, but then when you are, playing a much more superior team, I think you have to have be smart in your moments that you choose to go, right, we're going to go for it, and also we need to be wise and be pragmatic. And I think a wise manager would do that. And I think that's what he'll look at today. I think he'd be a fool to say, let's make this an open game and just go toe-to-toe with City. Mm-hmm. I think he'll be smart and wise and think, okay, there are times when if we have momentum and we've got momentum, let's use that momentum. But if we knock up momentum, then we bet in, we make it difficult for City, and then we wait for those moments and we try to frustrate City. And I think that will be the game plan.
Indeed. I'm just reading here as well. McKenna is the 76th manager that Pep has faced, and he has beaten 72 of the 75 managers that he's faced. The 3 that he hasn't beaten was Coman, Agnew and Karanka. They're the only 3. It's some interesting stat. Right, now let me cast your mind back, because did you know that Shaun Goater and Nicky Weaver both played in our last game against Ipswich? It was in 2002 in an FA Cup game. Well, let us just jog your memory as we take a trip down memory lane.
I think the Ipswich game, even though I wasn't involved, just watching it, I thought we were absolutely fantastic.
Oh, Berkovic! Oh, it's a goal for Manchester City, and Isle Berkovic has hit a volley from outside the area, and now there's going to be a row, because Ipswich don't think that should have been a corner. There's plenty of celebrations on that side of the dugout, but on the other side, Ipswich won't be very happy. Berkovic hit it really well, though.
I tell you, forget what happened about the goal kick-off corner. What a fantastic strike this is.
Right. Oh, that's a bad pass. And they're away now, Manchester City. They've got a man over here. Nicholas Jensen to Berkovic. Goater's ahead of him. This is Shaun Goater. Good chance for City. It's 2-0. Shaun Goater scores. And it's well deserved. They've dominated the second half, Keegan's team, and the reward comes. And Goater finished well. That's Herman Heridas and Peralta. Oh, Stewart! No! Hit the frame of the goal. Corner. Oof, what a let-off for Weaver. Here's Armstrong for Ipswich. Bent. Stewart. And that's Marcus Bent. Yes! What a shot from there. 30 yards, Bent. And here comes Armstrong. Could be 2-2. Oh, what a good save by Nicky Weaver. Benadia, still tricky, still inventive, gets it back from Goater. Player to his left is Huckabee. Oh, and now it's Marshall, and now it's Goater, and it's 3-1 City. Shaun Goater gets his second goal.
Well, John, if anybody deserves a win away from home, it's yours. As the 2,000 fans travelled from Manchester, they've been fantastic. As ever, the support of the team.
Oh, onside. Darren Huckabee's here. In for number 4, is he? Round the goalkeeper. Huckabee! Goal! It's a thrashing now for Ipswich Town. And it's a really memorable night for Manchester City.
Yeah, thanks, Cel. Welcome back to Pitchside. My co-commentator today, Nicky Weaver. Nicky, you were part of the City squad. I'm going to say squad because you didn't play in one of the games when City last met Ipswich. What are your memories of playing against them in the early 2000s?
Yeah, I mean, I both good and bad against Ipswich. I played against Ipswich. Richard Wright was in the Ipswich goal. It was just over our shoulder now, and it was always pitted against me and Richard Wright for the England under-21 spot. He was ahead of me at that point. He was a year older than me. So yeah, I've got fond memories of Ipswich, both good and bad.
When you go back to that season, City lost to them and went down. Seems a strange.
We will go back to Alistair Mann and Nicky Weaver in just a moment. I don't know if it was because of the electricity that ran through the stadium because the boys in blue took to the pitch. They've just gone and started warming up there to some cheers. Erling Haaland's out there as well. All very exciting building up to this first home game of the season against Ipswich Town. Shaun, shall we begin with the goals then in that classic FA Cup fixture? 4-1 win. Do you remember it well?
Yes, I do. I mean, that was the time when we started really bringing in some quality players, you know. Steve Howey at the back starting to keep things a bit solid. But Al Buckfish scored a goal, and I thought it was absolutely beautiful. We saw it there with the corner. Steve may not remember, but Keegan actually asked if I wanted to be the one who would take the volley.
I know for a fact he never had that. I guarantee.
He said I need somebody with high technical ability to finish off that.
But we did mention something, sorry it goes, but the first one, people talk about the Mesut Ozil thing when he hits it into the ground, and we were talking. You did this unbelievably well.
Yeah.
And it worked.
It did, yeah. Time in my run, Ali Benabia, you know, he was, I have to say, Nicholas Janssen, I think he was so underrated.
Yeah.
Quality player.
He was a good player.
You couldn't get the ball off him like runders or anything, but yeah, nice little finish. We wouldn't talk about me missing the header there, my defensive duties.
Yeah,
but
I know. I thought you might have started trying to fake an injury as well.
Yeah. Because I think I only lost 2 headers in my whole time, so that was one of them. But come on, Reeves, one job.
Yeah, one.
Don't save the 5-yard shot, save the 35.
Steve,
35 yard.
Well, and what were we making of the haircut there from Weaver?
Not great. I mean, in all fairness, I mean, there's not many people can pull a hairstyle off like that, and Weaves wasn't one of them, actually, I just thought. But it was a good save. But we had 2 lads in midfield who were just, Ireland, Ali, wonderful players. And, of course, just that goal there. He was like a fox in the box. We spoke about it before. You know, just the natural ability of knowing roughly where the ball's going to go and goes at it in absolute, abundance.
Well, I mean, I think the final goal as well is this is the Huckabee, wasn't it, the 4th one? But I actually saw they put on social media. I saw the starting 11 for this of the team that played here. And it's an amazing 11. You know, obviously Weaves bought. You had Richard Dunn at the back, Gerard Vikings as well. I absolutely loved. As you say as well, you got Berkovic and Benabia in the middle. You were up top. Such a strong squad, that, isn't it?
Well, we had some good players.
Huckabee as well was rapid.
Righty was there. I think later I'm not sure if Sylvain Distin was there at that particular time. I'm not sure, might have been a little bit afterwards. But we had some good players.
Yeah,
really good players. I mean, the dressing room was a brilliant dressing room to be in as well. I mean, we've got all kinds of characters. I mean, Dickoff was in there as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
Kevin Horlock as well.
He was a handful. Kevin Horlock was just a wrong one.
Oh, what a team!
Oh, that was the league one. This is the FA Cup one there. Yeah, Horlock in the middle. Shawnee as well over on the right.
Yeah.
Stuart Pearce centre half next to Richard Dunn.
Yeah,
so strong. Can we actually bring up that other one though? Because this was then when we faced, I think, Ipswich. Last time was in the league. If we can bring up that starting 11 as well, because there's some brilliant names on there, and we'll go. I mean, Danny Tiatto.
Danny Tiatto.
Tiatto.
Danny Tiatto will cause an argument in the telephone box. He would. He'd literally fight with himself if he couldn't fight with anybody.
Carlo Nash there as well. I mean, Jeff Whitley, of course. Paolo won as well.
Paolo,
I mean,
yeah.
I remember you saying when he was just an absolute beast.
He was.
So strong. That was when we last met them in the Premier League in 2001. Right, we heard from them before. We can actually head back to Alistair Mann and Nicky Weaver now. Let's see if Nicky does comment on what he was thinking with that hairdo.
When you go back to that season, City lost to them and went down. Seems a strange thing to say, but they were very different times.
Very different, yeah, and obviously we knew Ipswich were coming up with them as well. So we played them a lot over a few years. We had the League Cup games as well against them, and yeah, I think it was a Monday night game that ultimately we lost and we went down, and yeah, it was very, very disappointing after sort of the euphoria of the previous 2 seasons with the back-to-back promotions, then to get relegated in that manner, and then but obviously we bounced back the season after. So yeah, so very disappointing that night against Ipswich, and yeah, one that sort of still rumbles away now.
What are your memories of the 4-1 FA Cup win? Because that was a bit of an FA Cup shock, because City were the team 1 division below.
Yeah, I mean, my memories are, we stayed down there for a few days. A lot of teams used to do it for the FA Cup, and Carlo Nash had actually been playing, and Kevin Keegan just pulled me in the morning and said, "Oh, I'm going to play it tonight," and I thought, brilliant. So I was absolutely excited for the game, and just remember Al Berkovic's first goal was an absolute stunner, and to be fair, the goat got a couple, typical sort of Shaun goals, and then Darren Huckabee finished it off, and yeah, we won 4-1, and it was a real, a real drubbing of a Premier League outfit then. So yeah, it was a bit of a shock, and but we got the job done, and I don't think we surprised ourselves, but we probably surprised a lot of other people.
Interestingly, obviously this is the first time Ipswich have played at the Etihad, but they actually won on their last 2 visits to Main Road. You remember that in a bad way?
Yeah, again, like I said, we seem to play Ipswich a lot over a couple of years, and obviously, like I say, it's their first visit to the Etihad. So yeah, we had mixed results against them. They had some good young players. I remember, playing against like young Kieran Dyer was there, Richard Wright was there, James Scowcroft, Matt Holland, all these kind of players. So they had a really good blend of youth and experience. Yeah, so like I said, both good and bad memories.
I wonder if you remember, I was commentating on it actually. It was a Worthington Cup tie. There's a trivia question. Who were the sponsors of the League Cup? But and it was 1-1. Paul Dickoff makes it 1-1, and Graham Poll then abandons the game because of a waterlogged pitch. Do you remember much about that one?
Yeah, the pitch was okay in the warm-up, and then there was a bit of a deluge just before kick-off, and then that continued the early parts of the game. Ipswich went 1-0 up, and we were sort of trying to call for the game to be out. Ipswich weren't too pleased. Then Paul Dickoff scored, and then literally as soon as he scored, it was an easy decision for Graham Poll, the referee, and yeah, he called the game off. So yeah, so like I said, we played a lot in a short space of time against Ipswich, and both good and bad memories, but that's one that sticks out, because that's one of the few games that I ever played in that got called off.
Just thinking about, I mean, we alluded to it before, but just thinking about the fact that you went up 2 divisions, then came down after that defeat against Ipswich. I guess there are lessons that you learned. If you were passing on lessons to the Ipswich players now who've done that, 2 promotions in a row, what did you learn from that experience?
Well, I was only a young lad. They were my first 2 seasons playing the back-to-back promotions, and we sort of rode the crest of a wave that second season. We went up again, and it was probably a little bit too soon, but you've got to try and make the most of it. I'm sure the fans have 22 absence from the Premier League will have an absolute ball this season. They'll really enjoy going to grounds like this, and Tottenham and the Emirates, which they've probably never been to before. So yeah, they've got to really enjoy it, like Luton did last year, but they've also got to grab the bull by the horns and try and get as many points as they can. I don't think they're going to be judged on games against Liverpool last week and City this week. They're almost 2 free hits for them, but when they're playing teams in and around them, that's where they've really got to pick up points.
And did it have a sort of psychological blow of getting relegated in the first season back? Is that always fear?
Yeah, because we actually started off okay. We did really well early on, and once we got into the winter months, it became really difficult. And when you're going away to Newcastle and Arsenal and Manchester United and Tottenham, 3 points is massive, and you can go quite a long time. You're not often in the Premier League, you're not playing midweek games, so and once the cups start coming, you might only have 2 games in a month sometimes, and so it's really difficult to pick up the points, and each point in the Premiership is so precious, especially for the teams that are going to be down in the bottom half.
The thoughts there of Nicky Weaver. Nicky's on commentary duty with me this afternoon. Make sure that you download the app and make sure that you listen to me and Nicky describing everything to you. Now, I don't think Nicky played in the last game that City faced Ipswich. I might be right on that, I might be wrong, but I know that the 2 guests in studio did, and maybe they've not got very happy memories of it either.
Thank you, Alec. Yeah, we're going to pick up on that in just a second, but just a very bit moving moment, to be honest. Ilkay Gundogan taken to the pitch, returning to the Etihad Stadium to a really brilliant, warm round of applause from all the fans in the stadium and as well as his fellow teammates there as well. I think they come in for the honorary little flick of the ear, I think, or a little slap on the head as well to welcome him back. But a really special moment, and it just feels right to see him back in that City top. So from happy memories of Gundogan coming back to that fixture in 2001. Steve and Shaun both know it was the fixture that took us down, and you were saying as well there was the draw to Man United, was it, I think, or...
Yeah, because I think they could have put us down if we'd lost in that game. And to be fair, they had so many chances. We managed to hang on and get a 1-1 draw, and then obviously we went down to Ipswich. I think we were winning 1-0. I'm sure Goat scored. Yeah, it's the grey strip. But unfortunately, just couldn't hold on to it.
Oh, and then do you get injured, Shaun?
Yeah, they say I wasn't brave.
Very
Gotta
brave.
go and rip that,
Very
mate.
brave.
Hey, he's going in to
Put
follow
his
it.
body on the line there. Body on the line.
That's it.
Sorry, Shaun. That's a great goal. The way you grabbed What was the injury? I don't know why that's made me laugh so much. What a goal. What was the injury? Was it like a...
Well, collision, you know, that thing had got to take him out.
Going in where it hurts. Yes.
I'm going in where it hurts, but yeah, I think because of how I've landed on the keeper and him coming out, it's just caught me just on the back, but that soon subsided, you know.
And I think with Richard Wright actually was in goal, which is quite funny. Obviously, he's part of the goalkeeping setup as well, but he was in goal there. Well, we'll say that was actually maybe the turning point of the game, because you go off and then suddenly, Steve...
Yeah, and I mean it was hard really, because you know I had such high expectations of the team when I joined, and we learned a valuable lesson that year, because obviously the team had just come up.
Yes.
But we went away, dusted ourselves off, came back, won the championship at a breeze really.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we progressed as a team and went on from strength to strength from there.
It did indeed.
In fairness, they were a team that they were always the one challenging us, you know, in terms of like challenging us to either win the league or in terms of stopping us in some way. Ipswich was their team. I always remember, you know, some of the forwards as well, in terms of like Marcus Stewart. I thought was a clever centre forward. He was short, but he was really clever. Could go deep and make defenders think, should I go tight on him? But he was really clever, scored goals. Consistently, it was always up there around me in terms of top goal scorer. So it's always, you know, look forward to those games against Ipswich. But yeah, it was some great memories there.
So we're speaking of memories and going down memory lane. That was 23 years ago, and we actually sent Manchester City fan, Big Steve, down to the Tractor Boys there to meet a fellow Ipswich fan and speak about the changing fortunes that happened to both clubs since that game 23 years ago.
Ipswich still have hopes of the Champions League alive. Manchester City are down.
It was one of the worst journey home, I remember.
Manchester City are relegated to the Nationwide League.
I was in the away end, a little bit upset.
You beat us to go up like the year before, and we went up through the playoffs. It was a great night for us. We just found it funny.
It's too painful for some.
We had a slight glimmer of hope. Shaun Goulter scored.
Goulter with a follow-up!
Maybe we can save ourselves, and then you hit back 2 goals.
Yeah, 2 late goals.
And I remember coming out of here absolutely gutted and thinking the dream had over. You was on the way to Europe.
Yeah, we'd already qualified for the UEFA Cup, and we were still going for the Champions League, so we just thought we were on the way up and going to kind of do what Man City have done and dominate English football for a while. But
your fans were taking the mick. They had little signs. You are the weakest link. Goodbye. and now it's gone full circle.
And then look what happened from then on. Yeah.
You've spent a long time bouncing around the divisions like we used to do.
Just bored in the Championship for 17 years. They were dark days. We'd just sit up there and game would start and we'd just watch horse racing on our phones, and then we'd have our first shot after about 80 minutes, and everyone would celebrate. You know, it's just dull times. And then watching what you did, all the players you were signing, all the trophies you were winning, and we were just bored.
We've been on a fantastic run. It started in 2008 with a takeover, big players, Carlos Tevez, etc. And then the journey we've been on now, from where we was, has been unbelievable. And like you say, you were just floating around in Division 1, nothing quite happening.
Yeah, it was kind of, we went down to League One and we thought, oh, this would be the kickstart we need. I remember chatting to a Leeds fan and he said, you'll love League One, but you'll get bored after about 3 or 4 years. And the 4th year, when we went up, I remember going to Cambridge and we drew 1-1 and they started playing We Are the Champions and you go, I've had enough of this league now, we've got to get out somehow. And then we went on an amazing run to get out of it to get into the Championship.
No, like I say, we got into Europe under Mancini, started to find our feet in the Champions League. Obviously, the Aguero moment.
Balotelli! Aguero! Staggering! Just staggering!
I was going to say the Aguero moment in the pub was just unbelievable everywhere around the country. We were just sitting there, they've thrown it away again.
Was you rooting for us though?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I was kind of a bit of a neutral, really. But again, find it funny that you were going to throw it away at the final hurdle.
Typical City.
Yeah, typical City. That's what we thought. Like relegating you down here. We thought they're just going to do it, and then now you're going to throw it away. And then, of course, what happened after that was just amazing, isn't it?
Speak about the manager now. Your manager now. What he's doing at the football club and things like that is fantastic.
He's a great manager, and he's improved every player that's been at the club. So you can see the style of football he wanted to play from the first day he walked in the door. And since then, we've just been attacking, entertaining, scoring a record amount of goals. Watching football here compared to what it used to be like, you can't even compare the two. It's just exciting to come down, and we're all desperate to get in the ground now. We're looking forward to the next game. Whereas before, it was just, do we have to go? Mike Dunn always said, you enjoy the good times, you've got to go for all the misery. So all those playoff defeats we had, he went, it's going to happen, and when it does happen, you're going to enjoy it far more than anyone else. And now you must feel that all the suffering that you went through to do. Now be out doing Man United must be amazing.
We got promoted in '99 at Gillingham, like you said, and they won the treble.
Yeah.
So to fast forward it to last year and to win the treble, it's things that as a kid you can only dream of.
You can't imagine it, can you?
No, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, so when we went up with you, when we won the playoffs, and then we finished 5th, we thought, we're going to get money, we're going to invest in the team, we just want to go from strength to strength. Beat Inter Milan down here 1-0, we just thought, what can possibly go wrong? We were in the relegation zone when we beat Inter Milan, and we just thought, we'll be all right, we're going to stay up. And then I think we went on a little run, we won 6 out of 7. We started looking at the UEFA Cup again, can we qualify for Europe again? And then went on a dreadful run, got relegated, never returned until now. Let's see where the journey takes us.
Good to see you.
You too. Enjoy the game Saturday.
Nice one to Big Steve for going down there to meet Tractor Boy fan Dan, and also does just make you appreciate how lucky and fortunate we are to have seen what we've seen, particularly since that takeover. If you've just tuned in, thanks for joining us on Matchday Live. Cel Spellman alongside Shaun and Steve Howey. Our starting 11 is on the bottom of your screen. I'll quickly run you through it. Ederson, Rico Lewis, Akanji, Ruben Diaz, Josko Gvardiol, Kovacic in the midfield with De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva, and then Savinho and Doku on the wings. Which one? We don't know. I'm sure they'll decide. And Erling Haaland up front. Now, he's not in the squad today, sadly, due to illness, as confirmed by Pep Guardiola. But it was a very special week, not just for City players, but in particular, Phil Foden and Bunny Shaw. Phil Foden, of course, getting the PFA Player of the Year award. Thoroughly deserved, and it is the one, I think, for players, and Phil said it, the fact that it is voted for by your fellow peers, it's the one that means the most. And it was a standout season for Phil. It really felt like, we know what he's been doing since he was 17, but he really carried City at times last season. I think that was the thing where he's taken that next step, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, if you look individually, not even just even in City's team, there was some wonderful performances all through the season. But it just goes to show how good his season was. I mean, he was absolutely exceptional. And as I said, whilst there was other players that did do fantastic things, there was only one winner. I mean, I was at that game as well. And I mean, just some of the stuff that he does, even somebody that, for me, that's been on a park, playing with really good players, I sometimes watch him and think, wow, it's sometimes he still kind of amazes me. And I would class myself somebody that's been around wonderful players.
Yes.
So even this goal, I think the goalkeeper's got to do a little bit better. He's got absolutely no chance. You can put 2 goalkeepers in and you're not saving that. But what a player! There
was a great clip. One of my favourite things I love at the end of every season is the interview that Khaldoon gives, and this was, of course, the final game of the season. We win the league, and Phil Foden did that in 10 minutes. But Khaldoon said he was at the CFA the day before, and he said as they were finishing training, he was kind of slapped all the lads, said hello and that, good luck for tomorrow. He said, but one player stayed out on the pitch, and it was Phil Foden. And he says what he was doing was just nailing that shot and that goal that we scored there. He said he did it for half an hour, 45 minutes, he says, and that's almost what defines Phil, as well as what we probably don't see is how hard working he is behind the scenes.
Exactly, and that movement, him receiving the ball in that little pocket, he's the best in the world at receiving balls like that. You think the player may be just 2 yards off him, but he has the confidence, the ability, the awareness to just receive it on the turn. And he's got a great strike, as we're seeing here in some of the clips. I mean, again, 2 keepers it's not stopping it. So don't surprise me, because he's been that sort of player all the way through the academy and putting the extra sessions in. But it's typical of him, receiving balls in those sort of positions and having that wonderful strike.
Yeah, I mean, he's nicknamed the Sniper, and 19 goals in 35 Premier League games. It's quite amazing. And echoing what you say, Steve, I'm fortunate enough to be able to watch City here at the Etihad every home game. And at least twice in the game, he will do something, and I'll turn to my younger brother, and we're both like, I don't know how he's done that. And I find it, I love seeing now that you see players like Iniesta, or I saw a clip of Eden Hazard, all these legends of the game, when they're asked who is the best player or favourite player to watch, Phil Foden. I mean, that speaks volumes, doesn't it?
It's huge. I mean, and the thing is, ultimately, people just think, well, he's got a God-given talent, and it's talent. But I tell you what, the amount of hard work that goes in, like you just sort of said, when the chairman was here watching, and he's out for, an extra half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, just practicing all kinds of aspects of his game. You don't just turn up and produce it.
No.
That's hours and hours of hard work on top of ability.
Yeah, and also at the awards, sorry Steve, as well to add on, Bunny Shaw, sorry Shaun as well, forgot to mention as well, and she had a stellar season last season in the WSL.
Yes, Bunny Shaw, she's amazing. She's a top player, top striker. I think for the type of striker she is, for me, she's the best in the world, because she has a desire to win, she's got a bravery, and she's got the quality and the awareness and understanding to know that in this given situation, this is what's required to score this goal. And that's what's really good about her. She knows in different scenarios, it requires this sort of finish. I need to go around the keeper. I need to lob the keeper. I need to just smash it. She understands those scenarios and why she has such a prolific record of scoring. And I imagine she'll be in the list of names again next season.
Yeah.
But she's really phenomenal. And that's the what you want to win. The one that where your peers have known. She's an amazing player.
Amazing, but I mean, really exciting as well. We're going to be covering the women fixtures. They're off in pre-season in Australia as well. MatchDay Live will be with you. We've made some really exciting signings as well with our women's team so far. Really excited to see what the season could hold for them as well, Shaun.
Yes, Gareth is, he's again over the pre-season and looked at players. Throughout the season, looking at players, and he's brought in a couple of new players, and I think it's really just excited about what will unfold with the players. So we're all looking forward to it.
Absolutely, I'm wishing them all the luck as well. As I say, MatchDay Live will be covering them as well. Also have to mention in the PFA Women's Team of the Year, we also had Keating, Greenwood, Alexandri, Hasegawa and Hemp, so congratulations to them. And in our men's team, Rodri, Walker and Haaland as well joined Phil in the Team of the Year. And just a final word on Phil, it was something that Rodri said, because Jolene always makes a point when people go, where is, Foden's kind of bar, and Jones, that he's been doing it since he was 17. I think Rodri nailed what was different last season, was that he said he saw him grab Graves by the scruff of the neck and go, I'll carry this team. And I think that was the difference, and probably what we'll get more of now for the next, hopefully, 10 years and beyond.
I think the difference between very good players and exceptional players is that kind of, when it's tough games and you need something to happen, you're looking at your so-called star players to do something.
Yeah.
And he stood up more often than not.
Yes.
Look at the different positions that City found themselves in, and he'd be the one that, to use the term, grab the, kind of the game by the scruff of the neck and do something which completely changes the game, completely changes the momentum, which ends up City winning the game.
It does indeed. Going back to squad numbers as well, he's made 47 his own, hasn't he?
Like a number 10. 7 and 4, not quite 10.
Exactly. Yeah, not quite 10. Right now, you may have seen everyone, we've got a really exciting new partnership with Sony. There is loads going on. Check this out.
This app is nice. FG, check this out. Thanks, Erling.
favourite space is available for you to download now. Enjoy an amazing virtual Etihad Stadium experience like never before. Watch immersive highlights of every home game. What do you think about that, Natalie?
Oh, I love this app.
Join the fan banner and complete the city quiz. What do you mean I didn't get 100% in the quiz? Customise your avatar and communicate with other fans. This looks just like the real press room. So what do they need to do, Erling?
Download now and see you there.
Well, I know what I'll be doing after the game and after the show is downloading that, the new fan banner app brought to you by Sony in partnership with Manchester City. It's super, super cool. So make sure you get on there and download that. And also, we've got a very special event happening on September the 14th, which will be happening down here at the stadium as well. But if you're on the app, you can get involved. So as I say, download that brand new app, the fan banner app. Now, I've taken my top off and you're thinking, well, it looks like a City shirt, Kel. Is it? It kind of is. It's actually a Bahia FC shirt. I got this when I was lucky enough to go over to Salvador and actually go and see for myself our sister club in Bahia, and that is why today around the Etihad we are celebrating Bahia Day. We've had infamous singer there, Carlinhos Brown, one of the most iconic and famous singers out of Brazil, performing for us at the Etihad Stadium. We've had capoeira happening outside the stadium. We've seen some beautiful, really cool carnival, colourful outfits. And also as well, he was the man greeting the players as they arrived at the stadium. I was fortunate enough, as I say, to be over in Salvador, and it was the most beautiful country and place with so much soul, so much life. And I really found it quite interesting that the similarities and parallels I could pull from Bahia to Manchester, you know, Bahia being up north in Brazil, very similar to Manchester. Almost it felt a lot more working class, a lot more industrious. And just like our stadium here and just like Main Road was, it really was in the heart of the people, the stadium, and their love and passion for the game almost mirrors ours in a way I could almost say might even supersede it a little bit. So it was an absolute treat and pleasure to welcome people over from Bahia and celebrate as well the partnership between us and Bahia FC, and fingers crossed as well they'll have a successful season. But Shaun, you had a great time coming in. You said it was busy outside the Etihad Stadium, wasn't it? Full of life and vibrant colours and music.
Yes, it was, and I was coming in and I was thinking a little bit of the carnival, you know. I was coming in, I was like, okay, come on, baby. Yeah, it was really good, nice atmosphere. Everybody's really looking forward to it, and it was really good entertainment out there at the front.
It really was, as we say, it's so exciting that we get to link up with our sister clubs around the world. So maybe if you're watching from Brazil as well, tudo bem, and thanks for watching. Obrigado, I believe would be the phrase there. But Bahia FC as well, brilliant to be celebrating Bahia Day. Now to do that as well, what have I got behind me? Well, this is our goalkeeping jersey, and I've had a word, and I'm going to go find Edison after the game, and he's going to sign this, and we're going to give it away to one lucky fan. So if you want to be in with a chance to win this signed shirt, well, not signed yet, but Edison will sign it. You can see it there at the bottom of your screen, mancity.com/MDL-comp. That's mancity.com/MDL-comp. Come get involved and you could win that shirt signed by Edison. Now, before we get into final thoughts, it's 8 minutes till kickoff. Just want to do a quick word. Again, not in the squad because he's literally just come back from his holidays, and I think Pep's only said had a few training sessions. But that man, Rodri, who we know is the metronome of the team, for me, probably the best player in the world at the moment. That's why I want to mention it, because Ballon d'Or coming up, I really can't see past Rodri for myself, Steve.
I can't. Sometimes you know how these things go, though. We've seen winners, and you just think, really? But I mean, for what he's produced, actually for a number of years, has been exceptional. But I think particularly last season, for what he's won, and to top it off with the Euros as well, and being such a huge part of them winning the Euros as well, then for me, I can only see one winner, and I think deservedly so as well.
Absolutely. I mean, also, it's the stats as well. Do you remember he went like 55 games, or it was 54? unbeaten. That was club and country. That was also the season we went and did the treble. So, we know here at Manchester City, and I think if you're a football fan, you know that Rodri is the best player in the world at the moment. So fingers crossed. Right, gents, sorry, it's absolutely flown by. Just before we get predictions, quick final thoughts. Obviously, coming up against Ipswich, clear favourites, but we're going to have to make sure we go out and do the job, Shaun.
Yeah, I mean, Pep's going to want, the first term game, he's going to want to make sure that we play well, we stick to what we do. And I think he'll look at this as a great opportunity to put a market on to let everybody else in the Premier League know, like, City's here to go to win this 5 times in a row.
Absolutely. And for Ipswich, I think we were saying 15-minute segments, and just they're going to have to work hard to try and stay in the game for as long as possible.
Absolutely. I mean, it is going to be a difficult task for them. I think I seen an interview with Rob Edwards, who's manager of Luton, and when they come here, and he said it was the toughest game we've ever had to do, because he said not only is it the quality of Man City, but he said the professionalism and the ruthlessness of them on that day. But having said that, the ruthlessness of Man City has been there for all to see. That's why they've won 4 in a row. Yeah. And that's why they'll want to win 5, because there'll not be a case of looking at Ipswich and thinking, oh, we feel sorry for them if it's 3 or 4. They'll be like, well, I won 5 and 6. Yeah. Erling Haaland won 3 or 4 goals. Yeah. So people want to get in and get amongst it. So I think this could be a very difficult afternoon for Ipswich, but without a doubt, it's going to be such a professional performance from City.
And there we have it as well. 4 in a row. Can they do it 5? We're going to have the Premier League trophy as well, brought up by Lee Jackson. He's a groundsman here at Manchester City. He's been doing that for over 30 years, and he's retiring today. So we just want to say a massive thank you and all the love and thanks to the man who has dedicated 30 plus years to hills here at the Etihad Stadium, Lee Jackson. That man behind the Premier League trophy, with that shot you can't see him, there he is. Lee Jackson, congratulations and thank you for your service. Right, gents, before we hand over to Alistair Mann and Nicky Weaver, predictions please. Shaun?
I'm debating between 5 or 6. I'm really 6-0.
6-0 from Shaun. Steve?
5.
Goals. We love to see it. And just quickly as well, just to add to the positive vibrations and news, Manchester United lost against Brighton. 2-1. João Pedro scoring in the 95th minute. So Brighton top of the league, 6 points after 2 games. City can do that. We'll be joining them up there. Come join us at half-time. Over to Alistair Mann and Nicky Weaver. Thank you for watching. Come on, City.
Thank you, Kel. All eyes are very much on one man, and he's not even on the pitch. He's in the dugout at the side, and of course I'm referring to Ilkay Gundogan. A shock move back to the Etihad Stadium, complete just a matter of a few hours ago, and the reality is that he is very much back where he belongs. He's not in the starting 11, he is on the bench. He did come out to warm up earlier and got a terrific reception. Now the 2 sets of players are in the tunnel, the Etihad Stadium packed to the rafters, and we're all set for normal service to be resumed here at home. Well, the last time the Blues were at the Etihad Stadium, they created history by beating